Team here, Mia Arnapurs and Marco Antila, continuing the Modern Masters 2 review. I finished breaking down the archetypes into separate card lists, but we're still going to show you the spoilers because I think that's the best representation for our discussion still. And in the next couple of days, you would see a finished article with my breakdown for the draft archetypes of the set. But as for now, we're gonna still refer to the spoiler and sort of connect that with the archetype analysis I recently did. So let's start the conversation and let's recap on what we have discussed previously off screen. So we mentioned that basically Emrakul, you never really play it or cast it in limited, either in draft or sealed, because 15 is 15, and there is no cheap way to cheat it into play. There is no show and tell, of course. There is no Gaia's Vengeance, although I would pretty much love to see the card in the set, but there is no way to really cheaply get it into play anyhow. But Kozilek and Ulamog, on the other hand, as well as Karn and Elish Norn, you can probably efficiently get into play with the help of some ramp spells. There is the all-time classic Rampant Growth in the set. There is no thing like really fast mana acceleration, but there is Overflowing Chalice, which sometimes you can probably with 6 mana cast to have 3 counters on it and therefore have it tapped to add 3 mana to your pool and things like that. Primeval Titan is also one way to cheaply ramp into Eldrazi's and Karn or other book booms, including Iona, although Iona is probably the card which you would rarely see being cast or played in limited with Modern Masters. So, what about the second row?
What about entrances?
Remaining cards. No, I mean, the second one, I already mentioned Primeval Titan and Elish Norn. What are your thoughts about Tezzeret and Comet Storm?
Yeah, Tezzeret, if you wanna draft artifact deck, it's really good. Comet Storm is pretty good removal. In any deck you play red. And it's also maybe worth splashing.
Although double red is kind of a restricted cost.
Yeah, true. In case you got good mana fix, it's really good splash idea.
Alright, and for you watchers back home, I would like to quickly mention the archetypes I arrived at. The tier 1 decks would be probably the Blue-White Skies or the Blue-White Tempo, as well as some other flavors of Blue X Tempo, whether it be Blue Reds or Blue Black, but Blue Green Tempo is kind of at an opposition, and I think it's probably like a tier 2 draft archetype. But also other tier 1 decks would be Black Green X Midrange or Rock deck. You would probably start Black Green and then see whether the tides are going, and then splash for either blue or red, so making it an absent deck.
Yeah.
And then among the tier 2 and tier 3 archetypes you would have, as I mentioned, Blue-Green Tempo, then probably some Eldrazi Green Ramp, or some random Red-Green X ramp deck, and then there is also Domain, which is probably tier 3, because even though there are a lot of good spells, but not quite enough, not a critical mass of spells for great support for the archetype. And then, even though I like quite a bit the blue-white Metalcraft or blue-white artifacts, I feel like it's really gonna be hard to arrive at a good deck. On the other hand, if you picked early some of the good blue-white flyers with Metalcraft, you can always end up just with a solid blue-white tempo deck, not necessarily artifacts, so it's a fine. And cards like Apostle's Blessing, of course, is much better in the artifacts deck, but it's still fine on its own. And then Fury Mechanist is fine even if you don't have a large number of artifacts in your deck. It's still passable as a 4-mana 2/2 flyer with sometimes drawing your card. And then Thoughtcast is also not that horrible if you can't cast it super cheaply. And then Tezzeret is also fine if you don't have super many artifacts. It could be just a few overall solid artifacts in your deck, and you're already having fine value out of your Tezzeret.
Yeah.
And then very fringe archetypes. There's actually only one very fringe one I found. And in addition to Domain, which I mentioned for the tier 3, that is blue-black proliferate. So kind of having a feel of blue-black tempo with some cheap flyers and some tricks, but going overboard with those -1/1 counters, and having extra value out of charging some other cards generally with counters, and then on top of that you would have some of the blue graft cards, which you can also kind of pump with proliferate effects. So it's a funny archetype, still playable, but probably you will end up in some form of proliferate by accident and not just by forcing it. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. There is some themes supporting spirits via Soul Shift's mechanic, and also the effects which trigger when you cast a spirit or arcane spell. And there is some number of shapeshifter cards in the deck, in the set, like Nameless Inversion. And there's also some sub-theme with elementals, but I think those are rather just sub-themes, not reason to base your deck around them, even though some spirits are fine with a low count of spirits or arcane spells, like some of those 3-mana 2/2s with upside based on Soul Shift or playing some other spirits or arcane spells. And there are a few decent elementals, but still I think it's just an accidental strategy in draft or sealed. Even though in sealed you might get really lucky with a lot of decent elemental cards, but generally speaking, I don't like that strategy for drafts. So let's continue after we kind of describe the theory behind drafting strategies. And these are modern staples and in a way draft staples, but I also found that Star Confident is its not spot, while Click is amazing in any blue tempo deck. Iona sometimes okay. Tarmogoyf is probably decent in any green deck.
Yeah.
Obviously. Sort of, and then that leaves us with Kikijiki, which is at an odd spot. I've put it into one of the sweet cards in the blue-red tempo deck. On the other hand, there is no Deceiver Exarch and there is no Pestermite in the set, so you're just playing it and using its ability for value, which some comes into play creatures. Comes into play effects, like cards, like Muldrifter, so drawing 2 extra cards when making a copy, and so on, or equipping a Click, although that's really not gonna be happening too often, because that means that in your draft, you picked both Kick and Click, and that's already great value, and they are both mythic, so that's not going to happen a lot often.
And there's a lot of Pelakka Wurm, some fairies.
Well, yeah, living the dream. But Kiki and Pelakka Wurm, you would very rarely see this combination of cards in either sealed or draft, because red-green is not really a solid archetype. Red-green means that you probably drafted a green ramp. I would probably not go for triple red in John's mid-rangey deck. So we're probably talking about a solid 2-color red-green ramp deck. And Pelakka Wurm is also a card which is at an awkward spot in those rock kind of black-green X mid-range decks, because in those decks you would rarely want a lot of ramp in your deck, and you would rather just want cards like Ant Queen and so on, or even just like Endrixar. And even in those decks, 7 mana could be too much. And especially the triple reds in the cost of Kikijiki.
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
Yes. But it's still technically possible, especially in sealed. You don't have the luxury of having a good level of control over the deck you end up playing. So you just would have to basically play what is in your pool. An interesting feature of black-green X mid-range decks, I found that one of the defining sub-themes for it would be tokens, with cards like Ant Queen, Endrixar, Bitter Blossom, and Worldwire Elemental, although that's not really talking about token theme, but still to some extent. But it would be about cards like Bestial Menace, the 5 mana sorcerer which puts 3 different tokens into play, and then maybe cards like Nest Invader to some extent. Probably not the Kozilek's Predator at 4 mana, you would rather want something more powerful in that archetype.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about cards like Scatter the Seeds, and then on top of that, Sign of the Wilds. So there is a token something in the black-green X mid-range. And especially great cards in that archetype, Necrogenesis, or obviously Celestia Guildmage. Really going full value. Well, of course, plus the very solid bomb, Creekwood Lich. I actually like it much more in this set than Willcliff Lich. Since what I found is that outside of Celestia Guildmage, there are not really that many actually green-white creatures. So most of the time it's just giving your guys +1/1, and there's not that much to discard in the set. So having each turn essentially a free token is much better than having a 4/4 starting body. In a way, I have a dream of having a playable deck with Edge Monstrosity and Edge Oracle, but that means going domain and being really lucky, especially in drafts, getting cards like Spear of the Suns, which many of the decks would want, or having even the Alloy Mirror, or some other fixers or ramp. Actually, I think I should have somehow included Mox Opal into the domain archetype because of cards like Monstrosity and Oracle and some other artifacts, ramp, or fixing, since there is a chance that you would have enough of artifacts to actually switch him Mox Opal, and that means you would have a much faster and much more stable decks in terms of ramping and fixing. Plus there is a card like Skyreach Manta, so another artifacts and another good finisher at common.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
And then my last big conclusion is that cards like Restless Apparition and then the Hobgoblin and Gouger and Nobles of War are really at an awkward spot in this set, because those really color intensive decks are gonna be very rare, and I found that black white or black red or Boros are really archetypes which you also ended by accident, not by thinking of it at the start of the draft. They still might happen, and you might have a solid deck, but in general, I would try to stay away from those cards because that kind of makes you fall into a trap by restricting your options really a lot. Of course, there is a chance that you might have basic, almost mono white splash something deck, and then you can play like Swans, Nobilis, Wiltliff Leech, Hobgoblin Apparition, Guild Mage, and some other stuff, and like splash for one of those second colors like red, blue, green, black, depending on what you really want, what your other non-gold cards are.
Yeah, in case you go draft that colors and then you get nothing good after some picks.
Yeah, and because I found that Black-Green X archetype is very solid and very deep, and people will often draft it, Ghost that is at a very awkward spot with its mana cost, double black, double blue, or double white. So I would also try to stay away from this card unless I already have some black and white playables in my deck, and it's probably not going to be the card that would make you want to shift into those colors or make you change the way you draft your deck. So even though it's a very powerful card, but this color combination and especially the mana cost of the Ghost Daddy is really dangerous.
Yeah, it's good if you're already on those colors and you get in the last pack, and it's really good.
I would actually prefer to see it in my first or second pack so that I can adjust my picks accordingly in the third pack.
Yeah, true.
I think I would sort of hate it to see in the third pack. That means I would have to tank for a pretty long time and probably be a little bit short on playballs and end up with a few fillers just to be able to reliably cast it in my deck. From my first conversation with Andrei, which you can find in the second podcast on the channel and on the website, he really showed almost no love for the Twister, even though it fits into the Black-Green Axe mid-range, it fits into the Ramp archetype, it fits into the Domain archetype. But his reasoning was that in most cases you're not gonna high pick it in the first pack because of its 2 colors.
Yeah.
So that's his main reasoning. On the other hand, this mana cost is not super restrictive, so you can always splash green or splash red in your deck and still play it. And it's one of the very few sweepers. There is no Wrath God, there is no Damnation, no Verdict, no bad sort of 5 mana Wraths. So that's one of the rare sweepers in the set, in addition to maybe Comet Storm and maybe a couple other cards. So effects like this are really scarce in Modern Masters too.
Yeah, it's true. Probably not the first pick, but late pick maybe.
I don't know. Depending on my first 3-4 picks, I might pick 5 in pack 1 or something like that. And depending on whether I know any preferences of people at my draft board, I might pick it even higher. Because it all depends, but I sort of really love the card, and if there would have been another good sweeper, I might not be so excited about the Twister.
Yeah. But I do like the colors. Not maybe the first pick, but still, if there's nothing else to pick in the pack, then I would take it.
Also, in the first part of the set review, I expressed a lot of love for this card, Vengeful Rebirth. So, tell me please, how high do you think you would pick it? Let's say, I don't know, in pack 2. In the second booster.
Yeah, are on those colors, or do you mean if you're already wearing those 2 colors?
Let's say you're at least in one of those colors.
Then pretty high pick in those colors. Otherwise, if you are not in any of those colors, then you're probably not picking it.
Well, that's true. But how high would you pick it in the second booster, let's say?
It kind of depends on the rare. If it's a good bomb or a very expensive rare, then I take the rare. Or the foil. Otherwise, probably the first pick. Otherwise, probably the first pick.
Really? So you're on the same page with me, with the love for Rebirth?
Yeah.
Well, even though it costs 6 mana, basically regrowth plus a blaze, sort of. So I don't know why a lot of people don't like it. Wrecking Ball is actually a funny card because one of the few cards which they actually upgraded in the set. So it's originally it's a common, but they put it as an uncommon in the set, which is really strange. Most of the cards you find really rather downgraded in terms of rarity, but this one they sort of improved.
Yeah, maybe they didn't want it it played too much if it wears common.
Yeah, but it's basically terminate for 4.
Yeah.
So that's really odd. I wouldn't be actually surprised to see a terminate in the set, but making Wrecking Ball uncommon is really strange. In what kind of deck you feel like you could possibly pick or play Weapon Flames?
A very aggressive deck, where you want to attack every turn, or probably mid-range in the sideboard, depends what kind of creatures opponent plays.
You've seen my breakdown in terms of the list of cards for the Blue-Red Temple deck. Do you think it fits into that archetype?
Yeah, I would play it in Tempo deck for sure.
Even if it's Blue-Red?
Yeah. Well, in case depends if your guys are flyers, then it doesn't do that much.
That's true. Okay, one of the cards of the set which I have very mixed feelings about, Wings of Velisvel. You've seen the spoiler, and you've seen my breakdown of the archetypes.
Yeah.
I've sent you the draft of the upcoming article. So, in what decks and on what conditions you think you would play this card?
In Tempo decks and control decks. In Tempo deck you can make your 1/1 guy to 4/4 if you're lacking damage for the last killing blows, or the control deck where you wanna kill some rare bomb.
Why would you play it in control decks?
Well, in case you get something like one of the Eldras's,
Yeah.
you want to get rid of it, or something else with very good you can't. Something like Iono, or Primeval Theta, or Tarmogoyfs. Something rare.
So kind of turn to Frog and Eldrazi in order to be able to somehow kill it.
Yeah, or something. You make your own kind of flyer and kill their flying creature.
Okay. How often do you think the Changeling ability will come up?
I think in control deck it's pretty useless ability, but in a Tempo deck, if you get elemental based deck, it might be good.
Right. And what actually just came up to my mind is that it costs 2, and it's essentially a spirit. And there are some spirits in the sets, like these 2 next guys, too. And keep in mind, folks, that Soul Shift says not just spirit creature, but spirit card.
Yeah.
So I think simply because of this, cards like this Wings of Velisvel, and especially Nameless Inversion, are gonna have a tremendous impact.
Yeah, true.
So the fun part is that you have this Thief of Hope on turn 3. Then next turn you kill their guy with Tribal Flames, you drain them for 1, and then when this guy dies, running into opposing creature or chum blocking or something like this, you get your Nameless Inversion back to your hands, which is actually quite great.
Yeah, it is.
Right, and then let's first look at these two cards, this Cat Soldier, some Spirit Shikari, and then the Sky Hunter Skirmisher. So both really want you to have some equipments for them, right?
Yep.
And then let's go down to actual equipments. And let's say Flamecroft, which ones you would most likely play in most of your decks, and which ones are probably on the edge or like fringe playables. We got the plating, but I don't think you would play it outside of a very dedicated affinity deck or artifact deck. And the Sky Hunter and the Cat Soldier, you'd probably play in some blue-white flyer stack with a few equipments. So basically a blue-white tempo. And that even says that you can't quite really play Sunforger because you can't really activate its ability. So that's an awkward spot.
Yeah.
That leaves us most likely with Mortarport, Darksteel Axe. What else we had? Some of those living weapons. So the Flare, Husk, the Copper, Carapace.
Yeah, I'd say.
Almost.
Yeah.
Difference. And then there is the Sickle Slicer.
Yeah.
Very funky name.
Yeah.
So, how do you like this kind of snake equipment?
Well,
it's the Decepticon of the
yeah. Well, it's playable if you have a good like flyers. Always good equipments are always good with flyers, obviously.
I'd give you that.
Yeah, and depends if you have like creatures which gets a bonus from equipments, then it's good. And probably mid-range, I'm not that sure.
Okay, I see.
And Mortarboard, you almost always wants to play it if you get it. It's really good.
Well, I would want to hear a bit more reasoning behind that than just those words.
Yeah.
Because I know, I played Mortarport a lot in Standard and few decks, and I kinda get it, but on this set with such high power, even with some tokens, token generators, I don't know, like, you gotta give me more ground than just this.
Well, you always get at least one damage to equipment. Then if your creature gets removed, you can always get one damage to player. In case.
Okay.
I don't know for sure how many one toughness creature there is in this format. But if there's a lot of one toughness creature in
Quite
format,
a few.
Yeah. Then it's not that good for creature removal.
Let's actually see. I wouldn't count Bob or Dark Confidence into that, but there is a Resident Villain Click, which you would probably want to kill, although it's a mythic.
Yeah.
What else we got? Actually, not that many. One of my favorite cards, which I would probably want to tell a few words about, is the Fire Mind. Well, you'd probably want to kill this guy as soon as it's on the play. Why shouldn't Slaughter Master?
Yeah.
So you'd want to Mortarport that like ASAP.
Yeah.
I feel like. Well, one of the quite playable comments in Black's Sickle Ripper.
Yeah.
The Farming Bird is not an insane card, but still. Well, okay, Sky Hunter is something which you would want to kill on the spot. Okay, so it's really dangerous to keep it alive. Well, it kills a bunch of tokens from Scatter Disease, Raise Alarm. To kill Plagued Rusalka is also like one of the priorities, I feel like. Okay, Fireslinger, okay, that's not a big deal. Well, killing the Eldrazi spawns is something you sometimes really want to do quickly to deny them of some ramp.
Yeah.
But from the Empire, though, most of the time you won't be able to really kill it with Mortar Port. Well, tokens from Spectral Possession, of course, you would want to kill. You would want to kill this Drake also as soon as possible. But, oh wait, when another creature dies, so I suppose you would deal 1 damage from Mortar Port to it, but by that time it would be already a 2-2, at least.
Yeah.
That's how I understand it. So this trigger will probably resolve first. Okay, Spite Bellows, if they hardcast it, it's an awesome Mortar Port target.
Yeah.
Then, obviously, Mirror-Smith is bonkers, and you want to kill it as well. On the spot. Because if they play it in their deck, that probably means they have quite a few artifacts in their deck. Well, Mirror Entity is another dangerous creature. And because there's so many good blue decks, temple decks, this guy which I actually hope to see a good amount to play in Limited. It's actually not gonna be that hard to get value out of it. There are quite a lot of like cheap blue and spells and in some other colors. Well, killing Noble is good, killing Spikeshot Elder is good with Mortar Pod. As I said, like Bob and Vendilion. Tokens from Blossom also. So yeah, and I suppose that makes it enough targets with 1 toughness. And also that means the Plagued Rusalka is actually also quite decent.
Yeah. I never get to play the Mortar Port, but every time I saw it in play, it feels really good. It felt really good. Even if it was an opponent playing, it showed doing a lot of work.
What about Death Denied? Is that just a filler, or a card you would actually be happy about, not as one of the last picks, but something more sooner in the draft to pick up? I suppose it goes really well with the Deathbound Empire.
Yeah, it depends. If you have really good bombs you want to play again, then it's good. Otherwise it feels like a filler.
Agreed. Another card which I have mixed feelings about, Commune with Nature. Suppose it's a fine cantrip.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah. It depends if you have cards which you want to keep in graveyard. Is there any good creature graveyard?
No, it's actually what it says. It's you put the rest of the cards which you look at like on the bottom.
Okay, then it's just finding your good bombs.
Yeah. So you're not milling anything. So it's not like Commune with the Gods.
Yeah.
Which we get used to so much. Yeah, another. Oh, it's actually so funny. Spread the Sickness. They upgraded it too from uncommon to from common to uncommon, and it's not a really exciting removal spell. And Proliferate is not going to come up all that often, even though there is some even Bloodforce cards to get some bonus. But sorcery speed, 5 mana, destroy a creature, and they made it uncommon from common.
Yeah.
That feels so weird.
They probably maybe they want it so there wouldn't be so much removal. Because if there's like every third pack there is a removal, and someone's playing black, you get like four of those, something like that.
I would prefer that. If people are playing some bunkers cards against me, like, let's say, well, Dandelion Click is not really absurd by any means, but let's say Mirror Entity, and I know that if I don't kill it right there, next turn they would just make all of their guys gigantic.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't matter if I would have killed it, because they would just activate it in response and then just kill me. So, there are things like that. And I probably want to kill this creature as soon as possible as well. It wasn't an absurd card when it was first printed. I think it was New Phyrexia, right? The Necroscutter.
Yeah.
But yeah, it might not be as insane in practice, but in theory, it looks really scary.
Yep.
And the Banshee is also insane. I actually remember during the Eventide times. So I don't remember. I think I actually cast it sometimes myself as well, but most of the time it was played against me, and it felt horrible. I felt really down inside when they resolved this thing.
Yeah.
Because 5/5 Weaver for 6 is already a fine deal.
Yeah. 10 plus the ability is really amazing.
Yeah. Number cards in the set, Gil, not so many counter spells. Triple blue is not insane, but the problem is that cards like that with triple blue and its mana cost, you would probably play in some two-colored blue decks, and most of those, as I figured out, are tempo decks, and they probably don't want it, like a 6 mana like creature. If it would be like some 6 mana powerful spell and not a creature,
yeah,
then probably that would be fine, but I would be surprised to see a lot of Gil around in drafts or in, well, maybe more often in seals, but in drafts, I don't think it would ever appear.
No, there probably is always better picks.
Yeah.
Unless it's something last picks, then it's probably something.
Yeah, and then my other expectation is that I think not just me, but a lot of people would actually die if they wouldn't answer this guy on time. Because it's not unrealistic that they would have like one extra land drop after they cast this guy, and this guy already has haste, so it most likely will deal like 5 damage when it comes down, and then next turn, if you don't kill it, you're just dead.
Yeah.
So that's another guy which you want to kill right there, and all those expensive removal spells don't really help it. Because if you're maybe behind on mana, like with a couple of land drops, and they have some ramp, then what you're gonna do? That just feels like maybe a little bit poor set design or set development. That there are some things like this which you just kind of have to kill right there, and if you're a little bit mana screwed, you have no hope. There's no terror, there's no terminate, no ultimate price, no murderous card, no downfall. What are you gonna do? And a lot of the removal spells are at sorcery speed. And this guy has haste.
Yeah.
So feels really bad.
Yeah, maybe that's one of the reasons if they wanted to make those commons to uncommons, so there wouldn't be that much threats to rare bombs, so they really feel like bombs. Maybe that's the reason.
Yeah, but most of the time, according to my experience, when there's not that much removal and a lot of really crazy bombs in the set, that translates into really poor limited experience.
Yeah.
So it's really not a good thing. So that leads to a lot of frustration and anxiety. We would feel far too often that the format is all about the bombs and who opens or picks or gets the bombs, and they just cast them and the opponent cannot do anything, etc. So let's look at the removal we've got. Comet Storm costs absurd amount of mana. Banefire most of the time also means a lot of mana.
Yeah.
Profane Commands, another X cards.
Yeah, there's the Twister.
Twister also a lot of mana. Wildfire will 6 mana.
Yeah.
And sometimes not killing those 5 toughness bombs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What else? Okay, we have Bolt and Dismember.
Yeah. Dismember, Lightning Bolt, Wrecking Ball.
Wrecking Ball 4 mana, also not amazing. Well, Spike Bellows is good, so that's a 3 mana removal.
Yeah.
Oblivion Ring at 3.
Yeah. Pillar of the Sleeps, it isn't a removal, but it prevents attacking and plugging. It's not.
Which one?
The multicolor. One color is one black, one white.
The Pillar, yeah. That's a 3 mana removal, so that's good. Then we have Spread the Sickness at 5, that's kinda bad. Every Snipe is to some extent removal, but not quite. Bone Splitter is as good at 1 mana, Arrest at 3. Burst Lightning. Most of the time that means 5 mana to kill something substantial.
Yeah.
But with have mana leaks, you can't get something with 2 mana. Fury Fall 6 mana, essentially.
Yeah.
That's bad. Okay, Sacred Battle.
Yeah.
Plummet. Inversion at 2. Sunlands at 1, but not killing any of the real bombs.
Yeah.
Unless, like, they already got some damage from combat.
Yeah.
Tribal Flames is good at answering bombs, but then you're basically playing essentially a bad archetype.
Yeah.
You might somehow pull it off, but, well... Agony Warp, awesome removal, but still not killing the bombs.
Yeah.
Same for Electrolyze.
Yeah, kinda need 2 for 1.
Yeah. Pillar is a good answer. Wrecking Balls was sad, so Twister costing too much. Well, there's also Vengeful Rebirth, but it's never expensive removal. Water Ball. A Tempo Magnet is fine if you're a Tempo deck and you just tap their bomb for a couple of turns.
Yep.
Get through. So, yeah, well, there is some. A lot of it is quite expensive, and there's so many things that you just want to deal with. ASAP. I don't know. Actually, because of the absurdity of some of those bombs, Vapor Snack, probably gonna be valued more than usually.
Yeah.
You're shuffling some deck over there.
Yeah.
Oh man. See, even you got that stupid habit
Yeah.
of just meditating by shuffling some random deck.
Yeah. What about Sealed or Team Sealed or Two-Headed Giant format as MMR 2?
Where?
What?
Where was it?
I mean, in this format.
Yeah.
Modern Master 2, what about Two-Headed Giant or Team Sealed or...
Well, in Team Sealed, there are not that many specifics. Rather than that, you'll sometimes have more synergetic decks.
Yeah.
But the one deck would be very synergetic and really having extra value from Soul Shifts or Proliferates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What are other, like, real insane cards? Well, Banshee, for example. Minus counter on each non-black. A bit awkward, but you can sort of build the other two decks in Team Sealed or the second deck in Two-Headed according to this. What else is awesome? Especially for multiplayer. Well, Wildfire is crazy. Of course, in Two-Headed, obviously not broken in Team Sealed because you have separate matches. Well, in Two-Headed was Alligario and the black creature are awesome.
Can you choose Comet Storm for both players, or does they count as one in Two-Headed Giant?
Hold. Choose target creature player. Never target creature player. Stone's kick, kicks to each. Yeah, because you can choose like two players.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you had it, it's working.
Yeah. So double damage. Oh yeah.
Yeah, because when, let's say you cast a Mind Rot, you have to choose which head you're targeting.
Yeah.
So Comet Storm is working.
Yeah.
Though that's just quite a small bonus.
Yeah.
Because you need a ton of mana.
Yeah, but still you get double damage.
Oh, it's so sad. Even Devouring Greed is not gonna work in Two-Headed.
Yeah.
It's target player.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah, if it's a each player.
It would be actually a fine card. Otherwise, it's like very odd one. Going down and down and down. For one life for each creature, so also like nothing absurd. target player with the Farslinger. Yeah, so nothing much to get really excited for two-headed.
Yeah.
And Tim Sealed is another story, a separate thing. New casts. Yeah, two-headed is not gonna be absurd.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Hmm.
But what did you have in mind when you were talking about Tim Sealed? What kind of effects or cards you were thinking about?
I'm just thinking about what kind of would it be too easy format to make some insane decks with synergies?
Doesn't look like it, at least for two-heads. And
Yeah.
Sealed is not much different from normal Sealed.
Yeah.
It's just decks would have different quality.
Yeah, you can easier make it a two-color deck like that if you want.
Oh yeah, so let's say one feature of Tim Sealed would be that those hybrid cards would be much easier to play because you can probably adjust based on them. Unlike in normal Sealed or drafts. So yeah, that's one thing. We would probably see those hybrid cards much more in Tim Sealed.
Yeah, easier to cast.
Alright, maybe we would talk a bit more next time with some actual draft simulators, because so far it's only Svenska Magic which got a decent draft simulator with decent graphics. Maybe there's something else I'm missing, but that's the one I normally use right after the full spoiler is released, and then I have to wait for another week or two for proper draft simulators. And maybe in a week or so we get to discuss more the draft packs with a proper simulator, not just opening a sample booster pack, but actually going through a sample draft as a whole process and think of building a deck and so on. I'm just gonna finish up by saying a few words about the Niv Mizzet. I really want to open it. I really like the Blue-Red Tempo or some Blue-Axe Tempo. That's where I want to be. There's no Ophidian's Eye, so there's no combo with Niv Mizzet in the set. But it's still rather solid. There are not that many draw spells either, as I've noticed. But with a lot of removal being so expensive and so many tokens, I feel like it's gonna be quite the beast. Or, to be precise, quite the dragon in Limited with Modern Masters too. Right, folks, any final words from you before we wrap it up?
What do you think about Smash to Smithereen and Sundering Vitae in main deck?
I probably wouldn't play them. I would be much more inclined towards considering playing Plummet's main deck than the Artifact Haze. Metalcraft X is a thing, but I don't think it's the thing which would be on top in Limited. Sometimes you maybe would have an absurd Affinity deck where Artifacts Metalcraft deck, but I don't think it would be such a huge force because there is a lot of balance, and those decks seldomly would be that insane. But I fear much more just those big flyers, or just rather bunch of those really good 4 power 4 and 5 mana flyers. So Plummet is something I would probably consider main decking. Especially I don't know. I suppose especially in sealed, because it would be much easier to build a deck. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe in draft is something which you would probably main deck. Practice will show, but I suppose with a lot of good players in your area, in your field, who you know are gonna attend some of the local tournaments, local story tournaments with Modern Masters, I probably want to main deck Plummet if I'm in green. But I suppose at the GPs like Utrecht, Las Vegas, and Chiba, I don't think it's a good idea because the diversity of the decks would be just so huge. But I know at the local store, if you know the preferences of the players and you have high chances of playing against them in that tournament, then yeah, I think it's probably okay to have Plummet main deck. Alright then, thank you folks, thanks Marco, so
Yeah.
until next sailing, bye folks, don't forget to subscribe and blah 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 blah, see you next time.
See ya.